Alex Eala could face a problem that only appears when a player keeps winning. The deeper she goes in Washington, the less time she may have before the next major event of the North American hardcourt swing. That sounds unfair. Winning is supposed to create momentum. Winning is supposed to build confidence. Winning is supposed to make the next tournament easier. But for Eala, the best possible week in Washington could create the hardest possible transition into Toronto. The Washington main draw begins on July 27th. The final is scheduled for August 2nd. Toronto also officially begins on August 2nd. So if Eala reaches the Washington final, she could finish the most important match of her week on the same day the next WTA 1000 event begins. That creates the central question. Would a deep Washington run send Eala into Toronto with perfect match rhythm and rising confidence? Or would success leave her with too little time to recover before facing a deeper and more demanding field? Right now, nobody can answer that with certainty. The Toronto draw has not been announced. The order of play has not been announced. Her opening match date has not been announced. A first-round bye may become possible if she remains inside the seeding range. But that is not confirmed. That is why the word could matters. This is not a confirmed scheduling disaster. It is a test waiting to take shape. Washington offers 500 ranking points to the champion. Toronto offers 1,000. Washington has a compact draw of 28 players. Toronto has a draw of 96. Eala cannot treat Washington like a casual warm-up. She also cannot ignore what may wait immediately after it. Every Washington victory could strengthen her ranking. Every victory could sharpen her hard court game. Every victory could also remove another day from the recovery window. That is the paradox. The result every fan wants could create the most pressure. For a 21-year-old player now ranked number 28 in the world, this is not only about 1 week. It is about whether Eala is ready to manage the schedule of a true top 30 contender. Before calling the calendar dangerous, we have to understand why Washington matters too much for her to hold anything back. Washington is a WTA 500 event on outdoor hard courts. It offers important ranking points, major prize money, and a field filled with players who can punish hesitation. The player list includes established champions, top 20 players, and dangerous hard-court opponents. Madison Keys, Naomi Osaka, Yasmin Paolini, Elina Svitolina, Marta Kostyuk, Leylah Fernandez, Clara Tauson. Eala belongs in that field because her ranking has changed. She is now number 28 in the world. That position brings opportunity. It also brings responsibility. A player near the top 30 cannot enter a WTA 500 event simply hoping for useful practice. The points are too valuable. The field is too strong. The season is too important. Eala is still searching for her first tour-level WTA singles title. That makes Washington more than preparation. It is a real chance to move closer to a major career breakthrough. A title would bring 500 ranking points. A final would bring 325. A semifinal would bring 195. Those rewards can change rankings. They can influence future seedings. They can strengthen her position before Cincinnati and the US Open. Eala cannot walk onto court, thinking about saving energy for a match that does not yet exist. That kind of caution can become its own weakness. Tennis does not reward players for protecting themselves from future opponents. If Eala begins Washington thinking about what might happen several days later, she risks losing focus on the player standing across the net. That is especially dangerous after Wimbledon. Her historic run changed the way opponents and fans see her. Before Wimbledon, she could enter many matches with the freedom of an underdog. Now, opponents have more evidence. They know her left-handed patterns. They know how early she can take the ball. They know she can survive pressure. They know she can beat elite players. Washington is not the first proof that Eala can play on hard courts. Miami already showed that. The US Open already showed that. Washington is her first major hard court test after Wimbledon changed the expectation around her. She needs match rhythm. She needs real pressure points. She needs to understand how her serve and return feel in North American summer conditions. A practice court cannot fully provide that. Practice does not recreate a second serve at break point. Practice does not recreate a deciding set against a top player. Practice does not recreate a crowd reacting to every mistake. Only matches can do that. This is why losing early is not automatically the safe result. An early loss would create more rest. It could also leave Eala searching for timing. She could arrive at her next event physically fresh but competitively uncertain. She could have more recovery days but fewer answers about her hard court game. A deep run creates the opposite situation. More confidence. More points. More match sharpness. Less recovery time. Neither path is perfect. That is what makes the situation difficult. A player cannot choose the ideal number of matches. She cannot plan to reach the quarterfinal and then stop. She cannot decide that a semifinal is enough. Once the tournament begins, the only professional goal is to win the next match. The schedule becomes a problem only after success creates it. Washington is confirmed. Toronto is expected to follow on the North American swing. The question is not whether Eala should avoid winning. The question is how she manages the physical and emotional cost if Washington goes extremely well. Fans may look at the calendar and say that she should simply rest more. Elite tennis does not offer choices that clean. If she protects herself too much, she may lose momentum. If she pushes too hard, the transition may become more difficult. She has to compete fully while knowing that the rest of the swing is waiting. That is the life of a top player. One tournament does not truly end when the final point is played. The next event is already approaching. Now place the final days of Washington beside the opening days of Toronto. The pressure becomes impossible to ignore. The Washington main draw begins on July 27th. Each victory moves Eala closer to the final. Each victory also tightens the calendar. A journey to the final would require several high-intensity matches in less than 1 week. The final is scheduled for August 2nd. Toronto officially begins on that same date. That does not mean Eala would be ordered to play in Toronto immediately. It does not mean 2 matches are already placed on top of each other. It means the margin for recovery could become extremely narrow. The first cost is match load. A straight set victory can still demand intense movement, concentration, and recovery. A 3-set match can demand far more. Then imagine several difficult matches in a row. A physical first match, a long quarterfinal, a demanding semifinal, then a final against another elite opponent. The body does not reset when the next morning begins. Recovery does not start from zero. The legs remember the previous match. The mind remembers the important points. Every victory creates confidence. Every victory also leaves a physical cost. How much can a player truly recover when each win removes another day from the schedule? The second cost is travel. Washington to Toronto looks simple on a map. Both cities are in the Eastern time zone. There is no major jet lag. The flight is not long. But a travel day is not automatically a recovery day. After the final point, a player still has work to do. Treatment, hydration, food, media duties, packing, airport travel, border procedures, hotel arrival, registration, practice. A calendar may show 1 open day. The body may experience a full working day. That difference matters. The third cost is the field waiting in Toronto. Toronto is a WTA 1000 tournament with 96 players. The field is deep. There are very few comfortable matches. A player can face power, elite defense, or an experienced champion almost immediately. Her current ranking places Eala near the top 32. If she remains inside the seeding range when the final field is confirmed, she could receive a first-round bye. That could create more time after Washington. But it remains only a possibility. Her seed is not confirmed. Her bye is not confirmed. The draw is not confirmed. The schedule will decide how much recovery she receives. That uncertainty is important. It prevents this story from becoming fake drama. A deep Washington run could test Eala before Toronto. It does not guarantee that she will arrive exhausted. The fourth cost is emotional. Imagine the best possible Washington result. Eala reaches the final. She earns important points. She defeats strong opponents. She receives more attention. Then the tournament ends. Her team must immediately shift from celebration to recovery. That transition is rarely discussed. Winning creates adrenaline. A deep run creates media attention. Fans want reactions. The player wants to enjoy the result. But the next event does not wait for the emotion to settle. How quickly can Eala leave one tournament mentally without losing the confidence it created? The body needs recovery. The mind needs closure. The schedule may offer limited space for both. At first, the conclusion looks obvious. A deep Washington run would hurt Eala in Toronto. More matches mean more fatigue. Less time means less recovery. A late arrival means less practice. That logic is reasonable. It is also incomplete. A deep run does not only take something away, it gives Eala things that rest cannot provide. Match sharpness, confidence under pressure, timing on hard courts, real information about her game, the ability to make good decisions while tired, the knowledge that her tennis is holding up against a strong field. Washington may not be the obstacle before Toronto. Washington may be the preparation. A rested player is not automatically a match-ready player. Eala could arrive after an early Washington loss with fresh legs. She might also arrive without confidence in her timing. Her serve under pressure could remain untested. Her movement could still feel uncertain. Her tactical patterns could still need adjustment. A player arriving after a deep run may be more physically tested. She may also feel completely connected to her game. She has already handled break points. She has already survived difficult sets. She has already beaten strong opponents. She arrives knowing what is working. That knowledge can reduce mental effort. A player who trusts her patterns makes decisions faster. A player who feels uncertain spends energy searching for solutions. This is why match rhythm matters. Freshness is not the same as readiness. Rest is not the same as confidence. The ideal situation is not maximum rest. It is enough recovery combined with competitive sharpness. That balance changes the entire story. The question is not whether Washington requires energy. It will. The question is whether the confidence, ranking points, and match rhythm are worth the shortened recovery window. For a rising player, the answer may often be yes. Washington is not an exhibition. It is not a practice event. It is not a small tournament that disappears from the ranking calculation. A semifinal is an achievement. A final is an achievement. A title is a breakthrough. Those results do not become meaningless if Toronto becomes more difficult. Fans often describe one tournament as preparation for the next. That can make the first event sound less important. But Eala is not borrowing energy for the only event that matters. She is competing in two valuable events. Washington deserves full commitment. Toronto deserves intelligent recovery. The second reason the risk may be worth taking is surface continuity. Washington and Toronto are both outdoor hard court tournaments. Both are part of the North American swing. Both are in the Eastern time zone. The exact courts, weather, and ball behavior may differ. But Eala would not be changing continents. She would not be crossing several time zones. She would not be moving from grass to clay. Her movement patterns would already be adjusted for hard courts. Her return timing would already be working inside the same broad environment. Her body would already understand the stopping and starting demands of the surface. The transition would still be difficult. It would not be completely unfamiliar. That reduces one form of stress, even if physical fatigue remains. The quality of the Washington field also matters. A deep run would not come against easy competition. If Eala reaches the final weekend, she will have solved several real problems: different serving patterns, different rally speeds, different pressure situations, different tactical styles. That information would travel with her. Her team would know which patterns are working. They would know where fatigue appears. They would know whether her serve holds up late in matches. They would know how aggressive she can remain under pressure. That knowledge can be more valuable than another quiet week of practice. But there is one hidden scenario that may be more difficult than reaching the final. Imagine Eala plays several long 3-set matches. She spends many hours on court. She carries most of the physical cost of a deep run. Then she loses in the quarterfinal or semifinal. She earns fewer points than a finalist. She misses the emotional lift of a championship match. She still arrives at the next event with limited recovery. That may be the hardest version of the schedule. Not the final. Not the trophy. A physically expensive run that stops before the biggest rewards. This is why the issue cannot be reduced to matches played. The length of those matches matters. The intensity matters. The result matters. The timing matters. A fast path to the final could be easier to recover from than a brutal semifinal loss after several long battles. The calendar does not tell that story. The body does. The real equation is not deep run against early loss. It is value gained against recovery lost. Points gained. Confidence gained. Information gained. Hours spent. Energy spent. Sleep lost. Travel stress added. That is the balance Eala and her team must manage. Her team does not need to protect her from success. It needs to remove avoidable stress around the success. Recovery becomes more important. Practice may become shorter. Travel plans may need to be ready before Washington begins. Media duties may need to remain efficient. Every small decision can create more space between the final point in Washington and the first point at the next event. None of this guarantees success. It simply reduces pressure that does not need to exist. The Hook asked whether winning too much in Washington could hurt Toronto. The answer is more complicated. Yes. A deep Washington run could create physical and logistical pressure. It could also create the strongest version of Alex Eala heading into a WTA 1000 event. The schedule is not punishing her for winning. It is testing whether every hour on court creates enough value to justify the recovery it removes. That is the real challenge. Eala does not need fewer victories. She needs each victory to produce more value than damage. A straight-set win against a strong opponent may give her confidence without taking too much away. A 3-hour match may create a greater physical cost. Several long matches in a row could change the equation completely. Success itself is not the problem. The cost of success is the problem. That cost is impossible to know before the matches are played. Washington ends on August 2nd. Toronto officially begins on August 2nd. That overlap in tournament dates is real. The exact pressure on Eala is still unknown. Her Washington path is unknown. Her possible Toronto seed is unknown. A first-round bye is possible, not confirmed. Her opening match date is unknown. That uncertainty is why the situation is a test. It is not a disaster. The ideal result is not an early Washington loss followed by several quiet days. The ideal result is a deep run that produces points, confidence, and hard court rhythm, followed by enough recovery to compete again. That is difficult. It is also what top players must learn to do. Elite tennis is not one tournament at a time. The calendar never truly resets. A player finishes one event, while the next one is already beginning. Eala is entering that world now. Her ranking has moved higher. Her opportunities have become bigger. Her schedule has become less forgiving. Washington may show whether she can win important hard-court matches under new expectation. The next event may show how quickly she can become ready to win again. Then Cincinnati follows. Then the US Open. The North American swing will demand more than one great week. It will demand continuity, recovery, adaptation, decision-making, the ability to move from celebration to preparation without losing confidence or health. Eala has already proved that she can create historic moments. Now she has to prove that she can connect them. That may be the biggest difference between a rising star and a true contender. A rising star produces a breakthrough. A contender manages what comes after it. Do you believe a deep Washington run would help Eala more than it could test her? Tell us which advantage matters more, freshness or momentum. Then subscribe as we follow whether her Washington form can survive the next stage of the North American swing. Washington may reveal how many matches Alex Eala can win. The next event may reveal how quickly she can become ready to win again.